Mandang Gumbo Jinsen Jambeyang Yang Zai Lui Gangi Lun Jin Jin Yin Jin Da Yin Drai Nanda Rasa Jin Yin Den Guen Jin Shin Sin Jin Yin Jin Dong Ga Le Ban Kandai Se Be Zhen Ra Ma Re Min Doi Dong Ai Ge Se Zhōngzhō bēn lāi bēn jian dēn zē yan lāi zhōng jiō yang dēn sōng zhōng zhāi qian zhōi nian mō nian lōng lēn jian jiāng zhōng zhōng zhī jī mā rī mēn sēn dōng āi nyōng gui jīn nian jian zē rān zhī nāng dēn nian dā jian sān jian dhā sēn Yen den lin zuan jiang sen to wen bo. Chou zhai jiu dan jiu nian jian zhi. Da le min sen jiang bei yang lan du. Om arama zana de. Om arama zana de. Om arama zana de. Zhen den qian jian jian ra wen san jian da lun te mo men bai rab san ka dan den jian xiong lun do pa yi lu zhi bu bei na wen zan dun sui kan zhen da ren de ba zhong zhen chi ren de na Guan boi zhang yang jian nian nian ge me ba yang dong wa rai shu. Wen sai dur sen ge rai ri sen be ma jian bai ni shu nga. Su su rui nam nyang den den jiang zang su yin gan dre la ma nam lo yin su wa yin de. Jian san jian yi bin tun jian se tri chen zhong tun jiang zheng kur lun jiang nam darai sam yi ni den den zheng kun xiong ji ren lin bin xiao loi su wen de jiang bai chen loi bin me nam ban zheng ji la se lan ji yang se jiu song ba Kambain den den ben main dong an lin zhang yang jin zi wang bun so wain de kan dre long jin be re nam ban zhun zhen chen nam nge xing de lam su ji ren me den zhen yun den jian zun de long zhen ta yin xiao wain so wain de Omen chen jie yen jie po zhang nen ten sui san jie gun jie ngo wen rang sen chen gui ngun sui ten zi ba sa we la men xiao la so wan de Nam Arya Dam Ba La Yin Ge Dong Lu Dong De Jin Jie Rom Da Da Mi Ye Ge Nam Dong Du Gun Jie Da Jie Jie Zam Tom Jie Ge Dong Da Jie Che Den Manam Gadanyam Be Simje Tamje Namje Sanji Ji Salang Gobarcha Tei Chetu Dagi Tare Tambe Che Samo Nyen Tenyam Sulang Ora Gyo Nyambe Pulong Chanjo Simsal Dabde Sembra Shu.
So we need to establish all motherly sentient beings on the level of Buddhahood. So in order to do that, we please listen to the Dharma so that you can put the meaning of the words into practice. So the teaching that is being presented here is the teachings of Lame Tutu Parshi Kunsal, which is the accomplishing the heart of the Guru.
Iba ngondro kachini imba sumba ngondro nyamlen keting disum shiba ngondro soksa debjang insul ngaba ngondro ewache ngayo bales
Until Can you please show the 5 points? Yeah. So the explanation here is done in 5 sections. The explanation of the phrase preliminary practice, and then how the preliminary practices are important. And then the practice in the different variations, extensive, medium, and concise. And then how these preliminary practices purify obscurations and gather the accumulations. And as the 5th, the different types of preliminary practices.
다른 값수 바바데 온도 예외 나라레 온도 예와 텔라양 저왕 온도 튠징 온도 모싱 온도 숨여바 나네 아니 다른 값수 바바 모싱 온도 드레스.
So, and among these, then we have 3 types of wonder: the preliminaries of material items, the preliminaries of sessions, and preliminaries of the main part. And now we are in the preliminaries of the main part, and among that, the common preliminaries.
Tine ta 모싱온도 텔라양 tine 투몽깅온도 당 투민징온도 니여레스 다 다른 값수 바바데 투몽깅온도 드레스 투몽깅온도 텔라 tine 로도 넘버시 예스여레스.
And when we speak about the main part, then that is also divided into 2. It's the general preliminaries and the special or specific preliminaries. And currently we're in the context of the general preliminaries, which is also subdivided into the 4 thoughts that turns the mind away from samsara.
탈로도 넘버 15대 가르스나 더즈르니까와 세미다와 레줌데 코레님의 15들의 다른 값수 바바 시와 슈장모에 대해 티네 더즈르니 버까웨 카티레스.
So these 4 are the difficulties of attaining the freedoms and advantages, the impermanence and death, karma, cause and effect, and the defects of samsara. So currently we're in the first of these, the difficulties of finding the freedoms and riches.
창랑조 온도대 냠는데 데르사기 티네 온도 냠는데 인디 티네 된차텔라 티네 깨만다기 유행 강내장 다줄 티네 신도 녀버까 셰바데 티네 다줄지 티네 된다 영수조가 되나 된로고 요레스.
And since we are now practicing the Ngondro in accordance with the Tersar, there's the recitation from the liturgy here is for the difficulty of obtaining the freedoms and advantages is, alas, they were so hard won, these freedoms and riches obtained through accumulating their causes and conditions. And these words, they then sort of condense the entire meaning of the this part of the preliminary practices.
다 대답을 책임이 보텔라 진행하는 저기 책들이 가정 혼도 쉬스마이스 다 대답을 책임이 보텔라 먼저 겹된 일롱 되니 야세시와라기 송바데 자주 되니 신도 녀버까 기부 템도 토바르키발라 갈데델라 펜바 마르나 치데 양다저바 칼라 주르시베 책 시티지 하는 건처럼 다 다주지
So then as we begun to explain the meaning of this, then we spoke about there's one verse from Shantideva's Bodhisattva Charyavatara which says, so hard to find the ease and wealth whereby the aims of beings may be gained. If now I fail to turn it to my profit, how could such a chance be mine again? And that verse that summarizes and contains almost all of the meanings in this part of the mantra.
네, 디식제 당부대 나라 가자양 공도 직슈바인 다리양 sab가치네 직슈나 다줄디네 신도 녀버까스니 아니 다줄냐 버까와 땡기요레스 니바디 깨부 템도 토바르 줄발라 생인데 아니 다줄냐나 드니 던전이 임바 땡기레스 안수마디 갈데델라 펜바 마두나 셰바데 아니 가르소고레 니 다줄닝보 렘바 꿀와당 드니 다줄닝보 렘마툼나 드니 팡보 임바당 드니 다줄 다줄 잉볼 렘바 꿀와당 당주님보 레마토노 방보인바당 테네 다주님보 지다를 렌줄 숨요레스 가데들 아니 치대 양다 줘봐 갈라줄센데 테네 다주 땡님보 레마토나 제마 테네 양결 다주리야나 깔레가보인바 땡게레스 식시바디.
So these verses, it starts here with it's so hard to find this opportunity and fortune. And this indicates the first meaning of the preliminaries, which is the difficulty of obtaining the human body. Whereas the second speaks about that we shouldn't only have that freedom and advantages, we should also make use of it and accomplish its purpose. The third line says, if I now fail to turn it to my profit, that is a statement of encouragement and saying how sad it would be unless we really brought this into practice. So how could such a chance be mine again? This is then emphasizing that, and it's also saying that it's not certain that we will have this opportunity again, but unless we make use of it.
The 당보 다줄 닝보 렘바 꿀와 아니 니바 닝보 렘바 놈나 방보임바 아니 숨바테 아니 다줄 닝보 지다를 렌술.
Yeah, so this there are 3 points to be taken away from this, and one is the encouragement to practice, one is how sad it is if one doesn't, and the third point is how to put it into practice.
다 당보 아나운서 다줄 되는 신도 녀버까 시베 책되기 낭라 드니 섭제 넘버 가지고 그래서나 드니 오 달외고는 녀버까와 개발 취지고는 녀버까와 드니 주의고는 녀버까와 페이고는 녀버까와 장기고는 녀버까와 디책 섭제 넘버 가버디 다줄 되는 신도 녀버까 시베 책디 낭라 두고 그래서 책이 나와.
근데 니버디 오
개발 취지고는 녀버까와
So these difficulties then in the first verse, there expresses the difficulty in three, and there are inside of this we could say there's a difficulty in 3 ways. There's an essential difficulty and a second one which escapes me now, and then there's the cause, the difficulty of the cause, and the difficulty expressed in terms of examples, and then there's the difficulty expressed in terms of numbers.
대응하는 가장 하시바니 드는 거는도 달저르시바게 달기 거시와임바 가장 달지 거시바레 아니 나랑서 최양 다버 로버 제발라 당목 가리 고고 요레스나 당목 나랑서 달생인데 고고 요레스니 키는 벌 시바임바 다 달생인데 단다데 빼제 나랑라 칸베제로 고고 요레스나 드네 미곰베 네게레 타르위 달와시 고고 요레스 가장 공부 시바레.
Yeah, so we already spoke about the first part of this, the freedoms and advantages. The freedoms, which in Tibetan is the word tal, which means that we are free from the 8 unfree states. And this was mentioned in the previous session.
미군베 네게 라바라 미군베 네게 보데 강데세나 드네 당보 냐르와 이바 이다 숨바 든조 시바 사체링보 나바 라로 두바 록다 두바 상게 똥바 아니 개바 아니 국바 대개보들라 테네 미콤베 네게 라바레스.
So then in order then to be able to practice the Dharma, we need to have these freedoms, and otherwise our practice will not be authentic. So the freedoms then are the freedoms from the 8 unfree states. And the 8 unfree states are to be born as a hell being, to be born as a preta or hungry ghost, be born as an animal, be born as a long-lived god, be born in as a barbarian and a border tribe, or to have wrong views, or to be in a place where no Buddha exists, or to be deaf and mute. Those are the 8 unfree states.
다디 미콤베네게 랍소 테카르스나 테니 담베체 양 더번 드루발라 Drupal chepeki kagin 아니 미콤베 네게보디 아니 착대요래 대인디 당부 텔레 탈부고요래.
So these 8 states, they prevent us. They are negative conditions for us to be able to practice the Dharma in an authentic way. So since they are making hindrances, we need to become free from them.
다 텐솔라 아니 가리체네 미콤바레 세네 라바이나 테니 냐로아니 테니 차당기 동을 코나라 쮸디게 텐델레 쮸용데 차당기 동알기 겐체네 테니 담베 쮸체발라 되서 공기요 말에.
So then why are we then unfree in these different existences? So those who are in this hell-like existence, they are constantly under the spell or under the influence of the suffering of cold and heat, and therefore they have no time or no opportunity to practice the Dharma.
제라와 나랑나 메기 동알 당 참목이 동을 삼기면 잡지 용대베 갑라 드는 안주 취체 두그레베 뒤에 여러베 요 말와.
So because if we are constantly under going suffering of fires and extreme cold, which is immense, yeah, at that time, will there be any opportunity for us to think about practicing Dharma? There won't be any.
다가낭신지 드닝 이다 이다니 제공기 동안 코나나 저바 임바 송장 담배 취체도 공기 말해.
And similarly then for the hungry ghosts or the pretas, they undergo suffering of hunger and thirst constantly. So for them, there's also no freedom to practice the Dharma.
드네 든도네 편진체와 드네 꼴지지 동안라 때네 대도도 렘바 무고바 대여바 송장 드네 담배 취체도 공기 뒤져요 말해.
And then for animals, they are constantly eating each other and they're being enslaved. And they also don't have the faculties necessary for hearing the Dharma. So for them, there's also no opportunity or freedom to practice.
드네 시바 사체령보 텔라네 드네 게디 가양 두셰요 말해. 개와 최고당 딕바 최고 선박이 두셰 메바 인디 드네 두시 매뱅랑라 내용들 되네 담배 취체 제 그거요 말해.
So then for the long-lived gods, they don't have any concepts of good and evil.
네, 두시에서는 개와 최고, 딕바 최고 선박이 선박이요 말.
They don't even the thought doesn't arise for them whether something is good or negative. So for them, this thought of practicing the Dharma never occurs.
근데 대대 아니 미마임바시레 미마임바시 냐르와 미마르와 이다 미마르와 튼조 미마르와 사 튼조 미마르와 튼조 아니 미마임바기 미콤베 네시스.
So this is the non-human, the 4 different non-human existences.
다 미마시.
And then we have 4 human existences.
근데 시바 나바 록다 나가바 랄로 시바네 테네 체와 속제발라 소바 개와 임버도 바텐존에 랄로레 텐조 아니 가르서버레 테네 미게와 체라 테네 가보다보 프로와다보 요레 대바 송자 담배 취체 고메기 뒤제요 말 텐조.
And then we have then among the 4 human existences, the first one is the barbarians. And those are people who have a lifestyle which is violent and they're killing for their livelihood or just out of pleasure, they harm others. And since this is what they kind of enjoy to do, for them, this also prevents them from having the opportunity to practice the Dharma.
되게 제라 록다 수디 되니 그래서 그래 남바 산집에 취라 되니 이체메바 아니 렌델라 이체메바 되니 권총라 이체메바 텔레 천지 록도 송외기 로 된대요나 되니 담배 제도 말아와.
The next is those who have wrong views. and having a wrong view means that we don't have a Buddhist view. So there's no faith in the three jewels, no faith in karma, and instead one holds opposite views of this. And when that is the case, then we also have no opportunity or freedom to practice the Dharma.
limba 아니 산제 동바 테니 직된지 감들라 테니 정갈나 맹갈선 니여 정갈세 데틴 드메게 칼바디 상기 쳔베 카브라들라 정갈세 그래 산지 마쳔베 카발라 맹갈세 그래 텐데지 맹갈라 깨바이나 테니 최생의 고해 요 말 본조 숨생의 고해 요 말 텐데 메바 손데 담비체 제도고 말 미코바 차
So then the third among the human existences is when one lives in a world where there is no Buddha. So when we speak about this world, there are two types, or one way of categorizing this world is one where a Buddha has come, and one where no Buddha has come. And if one is in a situation where no Buddha has come, then again the thought to practice the Dharma doesn't arise.
주바데 아니 Kupa sheba tala tini nga kupa tang yi kupa nila shabu nga kupa sati geja shimit pe yi kupa sati tini semji tebegi tsik tanda tanzo mako sambegi tini gomnyamdo mige tindi tuwa tenzo di ani tindi ji kupa yena tambi chuchido kumgu mare semi kumpa chadu.
And the eighth or the fourth of the human existences is then if we are deaf and mute or deaf and dumb. This is the meaning is that one is either one's faculties for hearing makes it so that one cannot hear the Dharma, or one could then have this problem related to one's mind, meaning that one does not really understand. One's mental faculty is somehow damaged. So one might hear, but one doesn't understand what one hears. So that is the deaf and mute or deaf and dumb.
Lalo, lokta, sanjeji tongpa, kupa teshibodi, mi ingyang, mi komba, shi.
So these four last ones, being a barbarian, having wrong views, where no Buddha has arrived, and being deaf and mute, those are situations where one is a human being, but although one is a human being, one does not have the freedom.
Tadi ani talwanya berkawas koalangu yudi ta mikombe ne gedine teni ne berkawas na karesna mikombe ne gene teni tarwar kaware tarwar kawa indi teni ne berkawas shapur talwa dela tarwar kawas shapur.
So when we speak about the difficulty of obtaining the freedoms, that could be understood as there is a difficulty in being free from these 8 states.
Tene ta talwa tobiona tene ngarang zugi ta karse kore karzang ondo nala dagi gyugin laijidu gyu shebachidwa the gyu shebadite talwa nang sandu.
So here, if we look in the text, then and it's in the first line in the Tibetan, but it comes in the second in the English. It says that they're obtained through the causes and conditions. So this is this is what this speaks about. The difficulty, the causes are difficult to have, right?
최 제기 되세 연나 최제 도구도와 다디 유생인데 최 제기 되세 여디다 유착소 다 규여바 점기 되게 말해 델긴 고고 여러와 배낭아랑 저기 되니 되게 사빈 식사라 따고 요나 되게 사빈디 여바 점기 조금도 살라 따고고도 추고고도 저고고도 따도치고고도 깬지고도 더 깬디 가래 저러와스긴드레스
So dalwadi kyure, shorwadi kyana. So then in order to practice the Dharma, then we need to have the time and the opportunity. And these freedoms then, they are the cause for the ability to practice the Dharma. And we don't only need to have the cause, we also need to have the conditions. And the conditions here is that which is the advantages. So the freedoms are the cause and the advantages are the circumstances or the conducive conditions.
다 저와 셰바데 테니 토바실라 고고 만나라 잘랑고 보라나 만나라 잘라 조르송스기도 텐데질라 저와스 고고 식들 그런
So we should understand here that the freedoms is something that we obtain or attain, something we can get. That is what the understanding should be. Yeah, that's the meaning of freedoms.
테네 다 저와들라 가져요레스나 랑원에 창고바 저왕아 싱 랑원에 저고베 저왕아 싱원에 저고베 저왕아.
And then if we go on then to the advantages, the advantages are divided into two. It's the advantages that are from one's own side, and then the advantages that are from outside or from others.
네, 랑모델라 대송요레 미니 위지 옹보청 레다마로 내라 대송요레 당보 미니 시디 미잉고레라 니바데 네 최 다르사가 율위를 깨고레라 숨바데 옹보창고레라 시바데 몽레 시바데 레기 타마로 바치고 요레스 나바데 대바고 요레스 생아보데 나랑기 뭐니 고고 요레 제인디 랑기 저와 랑저.
So there's a stanza here that says, born a human in a central place with all one's faculties, without a conflicting lifestyle and with faith in the Dharma. So this expresses then the 5 advantages from one's own side. So meaning that one should be a human, one should be born in a central place, one should have the faculties intact, and one should have a lifestyle that is not opposite to the Dharma, and that one has faith in the right place.
타처럼 미콘베 내기들라 마게바체 이나야 미기 리부디 메나 아니 저나 체제 두고 말아 미기 리부 고기도 텐디 미니스 체제 버체블라 담보 미기 리지 고기도.
So then although one might have the 8 freedoms as mentioned before, if one doesn't have the body of a human, then one doesn't have the advantages. One of the first advantage.
네 저와 주보테 아니 최양다바 체도박이 니바데 최양다바 체도박이 당보데 달발랍서 최양다바 체도박이 니바 최양다바 제발라 당보다 니바 니도아 달와단 저와.
So in order to practice the Dharma, not just practice, but practice the Dharma truly and in an authentic way, one needs to have both the freedoms and the advantages.
네 미임바치다 양랑저 밀리 레나양 드니 최 다르사게 율라 마제바 최 메사게 율라 깨나 양 최치 두고 말아와 당랑저 최 다르사게 율라 깨고라 당랑저 단다 잠볼링 최가와 다르도 대최 다르데 최치게 율위라 그래.
So then even though one might have been born with a human body, if one is not born in a place where the Dharma has spread, then one still cannot practice the Dharma. So there's a place that is central, meaning it's central in terms of the of Dharma. So it's central because it has the Dharma.
되네 somebody 옹보창 보량. 다처럼 밀리톱 조직 다르사게 유ዌ레 깨나양 차랑게 옹보다고 되네 마상바이나 베나 믹샤라다보 함조 원바다보 카케자 시에메도 바 국바다보이나 양 최제도 말해. 제상은 옹보된저 빼자다워 쳐발라 최지보디 레범 데다워 쳐발라 간줄 미기하고 보고 요래 대약 보스네 된도 버쳐 왔다니 나윈 나에게 옹보든지 야부고고 요래 더 년두발 세발라 카기 제 옹보든지 야부고고 요래.
So then we might have been born with a human body, we might have been born in a central place, but if we don't have the faculties complete, meaning that we have eyes with which we can see and read the Dharma text, having ears so we can hear the teaching, having a mouth so that we can speak and recite the text, then we are also not able to practice the Dharma authentically.
시바데 레기탈로바 레기탈로바 시바데 가나운솔라테니 리지기 레가지도 셴바이나 셴바기 레가장체 꾸마장아이나 작바장아이나 작바기 레가장체 데코랑기 레가 강로 브로딩에지도 된저 아니 레기탈로바 스게레 레기타든데 로바기 든데 담비체체도 말이야.
And then as the fourth, then if we are born into a family or a caste or a tradition where we as our livelihood by kind of family have work as a butcher or a slaughterer, or we might be coming from a family of thieves. And in that case, we also don't have the opportunity to practice Dharma.
네라 대스디고서 아니 가나운주고 넘바 산지베 쳐라 대박. 되니 셰라브리 제장라고 쟤는 쳐디 딱신지 테라 네바니 되게 대박 요구 대박 메나 되니 이치직 말에 이치 마게는 냠슬랑 말에 냠스 말하는 제부터도 말아 이치 말렘나 되니 최제대릭 말에 최제대 메나 되니 냠는 제기 말아 냠는 맞는 제부게 두 말아.
So the fifth here then is having faith in the Dharma or having faith in the right place. So if we don't have faith in the right place, then we don't have any trust in the Dharma. And if we don't have trust in the Dharma, then we also don't want to practice the Dharma. And then if we don't practice, then we're also not getting anywhere.
신스링네 저 오성을 당부 다 상계 직된지 컴라 맞춰나 생각하면서 취지 나와 용말에 취지 나와 용말 쳐발라 당부 상계 직된도 중국어로 된지 상계 좀 봐서.
So then so that first was the five advantages from one's own side. Then regarding the five advantages from outside or from others, there's a verse that says a Buddha has appeared and has preached the Dharma. His teachings still exist and can be followed. There are those who are kind-hearted towards others. So the first here is a Buddha has appeared.
전에 상계 고비 중쟁 가래서나 탈바당 탐지점백이 남된 독일지 고기요. 된데디 아니 상계기 뭐또 된 독이요 말. 대 상계에서 상계 직도도 처음 봐. 상계 고기요. 탈바당 탐지점백 남된 독이엔 된데디 아니 jirdangi ten dugu mare, ten su ten dugu re, sanje ji ten dugu re, ten di sanje ji ten du chongu gudwa.
So the path, the Buddhist path then is to liberation and omniscience is something that is taught by the Buddha. And if no Buddha has arrived, this is something that is not generally taught by anybody or just anybody. Therefore, a Buddha must have arrived. Otherwise, there's also not the advantage.
이바데 대체송화 세계래 다 상계 직된도 전화양 되니 고랑 양내낭내 상제지 고망 톱네 되니 꾸싱아 펩소나 되니 가는도 최 양내 제메래 되게 많이 봐 상제기 상계 차려져라 되니 최디 송고고요 최디 송화라 되니 대체송화 세계들.
So then the Buddha may have come, and the Buddha himself may have practiced and attained enlightenment, but that's not enough for us. So for us to be able to practice, the Buddha needs to teach, and that's why the verse then says that the Buddha has appeared and he has preached the Dharma.
상계주도지 땜반내봐서 그래 땜반내봐서 그랬다 상계직된도 되니 저양송 되니 최디 냠술랑의 윤 땡겐지 매바이나 최디 되니 체루그래 되게 최 윤디 마셔바들라 드네 템바네바 시그레 몽도 템바네바스.
So then again, the Buddha may have come and the Buddha may have taught, but if the teaching lineage or the teaching is not continually present, then it's also not available to us. So that's what the third part here and says in the verse. It says his teaching still exists.
네 상제지 템바네바 이나양 드니 나랑소 되게 제라 마죽나 되게 최대 냠소 말라나 태양아랑소 템베체 양다 바도 말레스. 텐디 테 상제 템베기 제수 드니 간소 조고레스. 조고레스.
So and then Buddha may have arrived, he may have taught, and the teaching may also remain, but unless we are able to follow the teachings, then there's also no practice being done. So that is why it says in the fourth point, or third point, sorry, so his teaching still exists and can be followed. So that is ourselves following his teachings.
마바텔라 신철이닝네 저 송의 책지요래. 데 신철이닝네 저와 용디 교회신인을 고고요래스. 신철이닝네 저송 교회신인 된조 양토베 교회신인 된조 신라 저와 요래. 신쿠레 동안에 자두지 삼바요래. 대인디 되네 대제수 송들이. 될라 아니 신신인네 저와 송데 교회신인을 고고요래스.
So, and the third line of the verse says, there are those who are kind-hearted towards others. And this refers here to virtuous friend or spiritual friend, someone who has love for others and who wants liberation for them. So unless there are such people who can teach, then also there's not the advantage. So.
대카레 당아랑도 담배추기 낭라 적송와 이나양 드니 담배추기 고된적인 계획신이지 메나 드니 아랑도 담배신이 아랑게 랑도비 고네 시에도고 말아봐. 대게 교회신이 때인데 교회신이 가르침도 되려고 갈래갈래 장안했더니 똑도 치고도 교회신이 때고도 교회신에 대한 신을 저와 영이 때고요래서.
So if we try to practice the Dharma just on our own, that is not sufficient and it doesn't work. We need to have a teacher. We must rely on a teacher, and in this case, then the teacher needs to be someone who has love and affection, and by relying on that teacher, then we can actually practice.
디 저와 대 안에 토버까와 고네 샤고기요. 더지 탈와디 드네 타르와까와 샤소. 베는 냐로라 깨바이나 베 타르와 깔레 가고요래. 대엔스 타르와 깔레 고. 다 저와든 나는 아주 토베라 깔레 가고요라. 토발라 깔레 가보샤. 저와 주고.
So when we speak about these advantages, then they are the ones that are difficult to attain or obtain. And I have to retract here as a translator. In when we speak about the freedoms, they are something that are difficult to be free from. So it's difficult to be free from the 8 unfree states, and it's difficult to attain the 10 advantages.
희나양 니 다저니까 냠도 시온의 시온도 없어. 창월 가위고는 예발가와 라고 다저쪽에 창월 가위고는 예발가와 창마 좀 돼발라 창와서.
So then when we put these together, then there's a difficulty to have them all complete.
제가 가와들 람당데 만다와도 탈와디 타르와 가위고는 예발가와 저와디 토버 가위고는 예발가와 다저니가 냠도 시온디 다저 창외고는 예발가와 가와서.
So there are 3 difficulties here. The first is then that the freedoms are difficult to get, or it is difficult to be free. And there's the difficulty to attain the advantages, and it is difficult when we put them both together to have them all complete. So there are 3 types of difficulties mentioned here.
subject ni dinana ando sarare ngo dalwe ko ne barkawas mi ko ne je shebat nangare ani kebar chuji ko ne barkawas mi jorwa chubo dere ani jorwa chubo de la kebar chuji ko ne barkawas sergo bi 좀 전에 가려서나 아니 달와레 장 kebar도 박버 추래 jorwa de ten디 kebar chuji ko ne barkawas nda bar
it's
달와리 전 제버도 파고치. 다시 달와리
Jorwadi.
저와디.
Jorwadi.
달와리 전 제버도 파고.
So
전 제버 취지고네라도 제버 취지고네라 좀 생각해. 제버서는 달와리 전 제버도 파고.
So there's you could say, a hierarchy, or one is better than the other, and more exalted, and that's so one of the 5 divisions we were speaking about before is that the advantages are more exalted, more higher or better, we could say, than the freedoms. Yeah.
뭐 탈배권이 개발가와서 직사방지야. 개발 취지권이 개발가와서 샤소아. 개발을 납고 좀지데. 뭐 납고 좀지는 가르서 당신 가르서 냐와 간대지 봐. 이다 간대지 봐. 아니 튼로 간대지 봐. 아니 세링사 간대지 봐. 라로 간대지 봐. 녹다 간대지 봐. 상계 동바디 간대지 봐. 아니 가래 임바디 셰바들은 뭐라 그래.
Okay, so we were speaking earlier about the 5 subdivisions, and one was the essence, and one was what could be said being the speciality or specialness of something. And in terms of those 5 subdivisions, when we spoke of the essence, or so when we spoke of the qualities of hell beings, pretas, animals, gods, barbarians, and so forth, then we were speaking in terms of the essence. And then in terms of the speciality, then we could say that the advantages are more special than the freedoms.
갑갑라양 오시디 춘인일룩라양 오세 나랑도 계제시기와 춘인일룩 저가 담제 저라양 오시기로 산지진 오시기도 디스데 텔라 예와체고 즉 춘이진 오 납디값수 산지진 내룩들은 나 최진진 오스나 단당 나랑도 낭족들 가리 임바 통고도 디 최진진 오 So when
we speak about essence, then sometimes we speak about the essence of the nature of phenomena, and sometimes we speak about the essence of the phenomena themselves. And in this case, then we're speaking about the essence of these phenomena of the freedoms and advantages. Sometimes, other times, we speak about the essence of the chunye, the nature of things.
다 최양 다바시 두바르 제발라 루체지 땡지고 그러다 최 루겐기 땡지 최 루체기 주석 상화지 고고요라 다 주석 상화디 달와게 저와 주승에 다 최양 다바 루체기 주석 상화디 다 다줄접제보다 작대요.
So we now speak about the 18 freedoms and advantages. Why do we need them? We need them because we want to be free from samsara, and in order to be free from samsara, we need to practice an authentic path. And the conducive circumstances and the cause for practicing an authentic path, that is these 18 freedoms and advantages.
도망 지금 말아. 요에 따도 지금 말아. 바로 태가를 취해 시작해. 그래. 디디 취해 양 다버지 이미 땡데 요 말. 뭐야? 다 다주접지의 약보다 마상와이나 양난이 취해 인라 메나도 차대요래. 양난이 취지 송년다고 지 차도래. 취 답자라고 지. 취양 다버생한테 차에 내려다고. 가르상 고기질로 다주접지의 창마상 그런 게 하고 말아.
So and nowadays, people sometimes they engage in Dharma practice right away. So when you do that, then it's not certain that you have all the freedoms and advantages complete. And if you don't have all the freedoms and advantages complete, then there's a risk that your Dharma practice, it might seem to be a Dharma practice, and it's kind of sort of willy-nilly or half-hearted Dharma practice. And it could just be an appearance of being Dharma practice, but it will not be authentic Dharma practice or true Dharma practice.
인도 땅라정네 최양과 최고도 삼나 당부 계란기 유라 다줄 접게 버 창도민도 됐다. 대유나 따처럼라 최양 다버 줍투비게 다 고급디 요래 줘라. 근데 계란기 최줍나 최대 양다버 자그 최대 양다버 자과이나 근데 타르바당 근데 산지지 고반데 토베 요래.
But then to practice authentically, then we really need this cross of the 18 freedoms and advantages. And then if we have this 18 freedoms and advantages, then we have the opportunity to practice Dharma authentically. And then when we do that, then this authentic Dharma practice is something that has the ability to bring us to the level of complete Buddhahood and omniscience.
뒤에 최치발 가리 창국 요담에 지난번에 딱지 제요면이 하고 마송 뒤 다른의 송대 최양 다바 제국의 요나 다줄 접게디 고기도와 삼바지 고어봤다 두글라 샤로나 달와당 저와생의 최양 다바 지겐지 고기도와 삼바지
고기도. So I cannot sit here and say whether you have these freedoms and advantages completely, but what I can say is that you need to, from now on, you need to think that I do need to have these freedoms and advantages complete. That is necessary.
다들 nganazo talwaje jorwajugi gom nyamnen chebe kapsuina tene nga thongboda mikomene gele tene tarto umdo tagze chego nga nyawala kitu kemindu nga idala kitu kemindu tanga nyawala keba ina chadangi dungala idala keba ina tekomgu dungala tende yeba sose tagze chene taho tenga la serendo kitu kemindu tagze chene tende sta yongdu ticharan denzola ma keba ina mikomene gele ma keba na kerang la talwa yoreta talwa yoba de shegu yor.
So then regarding these 18 freedoms and advantages, then what we should do in our practice, we should sit down and we should examine one by one. We should think to ourselves, oh, am I born as a hell being? And then continue thinking like, oh, am I born as a treta, as an animal, as a god, as a long-lived god, and so forth. And then as we do our examination, and then if we come to the conclusion that we are not born as any of these or in any of these existences, then we can say, I have these freedoms.
태어나신 저와형 미래도 말해도 라 요루요라 깨도 깨면도 공부창도 창문도 레기타 로도 로면도 대바도면도 상계 전도 마천도 최송도 마송도 땜바네도 마네도 대기 제라 죽도 죽면도 계획신의 약보지기 센도 세면도 아주 전다고 해다도 전 때바이나 드네 계랑라 다주주주 가져 이어봐도 계랑기 싫어.
So then again, we do the same thing for the 10 advantages. We ask ourselves, am I a human or not? Have I been born in the central place or not? Do I have the faculties complete or not? Do I have a lifestyle in accordance with the Dharma or not? Do I have faith in the right place or not? Did the Buddha appear or not? Did the Buddha teach or not? Does the teaching remain or not? Can the teaching be followed or not? And are there kind of people who can guide us or not? And then when we've done this examination, then we will know to which degree we have these freedoms and riches or not.
근데지 달와지 주로지고들라 근데지 딱지치양도 저랑기 줄라 창도에나 가장이 공도 다저를 예쁘고 이렇게 표현시해 봐 다저 공부이나 당복 가와지기를 해서 어떤 계랑을 가와지기를 뒤 가래 계랑을 다저주주 사이나 나 최지에 고급디 도와 최양다바치에 고급디 도와서 가와지기를
So then after we have done this examination, and if we come to the conclusion that we do have these freedoms and riches complete, then that is a cause for us to be happy. So we should be happy about that. And with this happiness, we should also, we know that now we have the opportunity to practice the Dharma. So that is a source for happiness.
미지라 쿄라 디님바 라이게 고갑 두다라는 코 가와지기라 나래 님바 라이 고갑 가와지기도 대나시 담배체 제게 고갑디 콜라니언 콜라 가와지기.
So for example, if somebody gives us some gift and we receive this gift, and then that makes us happy, just in the same way, when we have or find that we have these freedoms and advantages complete, that should also make us happy.
자, somebody 유이고는 예바가 다 유이고는 예바가 시바디안 유세바디안이 제부께체로 제부께 버쳐발로 유고로 유이고는 예바가.
So then the third way of speaking about these difficulties is the difficulty in terms of the cause. So the cause is something that which gives rise to a result. So
전다 가르치고래 달와제 저러주고데 제부레 다데 토버체발라 톱지기 주 유이고는 예바가 다지 먼저 제부고는 예바가 시어서 다단다 유이고는 예바가 시고르다.
So before we considered the freedoms and advantages more as a result, but then if we look at them in terms of the cause, then what is the meaning then? So then in this subdivision of 5, we spoke about the essence of the freedoms and advantages. We spoke about which one is more exalted, and now we're speaking about them as a difficulty in terms of cause. And then we ask the question, what is the cause then for these freedoms and advantages?
tene 당하는 저 주고는 예버가와텔라 tene 남공만한지 컨디션이었으나 다들 밀레니에 바데 포고도에 말라데 소남사베 되고 있는 송다 달와제 저러주 밀리데니에 바데 tene 포고도에 말라데 포고스남이 닝덥 첨보 로고 첨보라 되네 tene 녀바레레라 그래서 녀바 말레스 다 된데스는 녀바 마이나 가war라 되는 녀바레스 소남사 소는 망고사 징이 말다 망고지사
So earlier masters have said, and Lamala he quoted a verse that I didn't really catch in its entirety, but it says that in the 18 freedoms and riches, they don't come from having a strong mind or wanting them or being heroic. Then it correct.
보고서는 닝덥 첨보 로고 첨보 근데 미닝 닝덥 첨보 로고 첨보 같은 다저 독들에서는 더구 말해서
yeah so you don't receive these freedoms and riches from being brave. That's not their cause. What do you get them from is from a vast accumulation of virtue or merit.
다 닝덥 로고 첨보 나와라 아니 나로들 된다 가르두고 이래서나 배나더니 만나서 된다 대왕 답례 랑소 포츠 되기 전에 드니 다저니 얘기 여러분은 얘기 말해시거든요. 대왕스나 남르다고 배나 드니 마랑라 다른 남갈라 드니 세 얘기 말아 남갈라 이나야 남르다고 주네 세 도도스니나 녀바다고 데려다고 녀다고 유스티기로와 이나 다저 데레고네 얘기 녀죠 말해서 남르고 고네 다저 녀죠 말해서 대왕스 니바데 좀 탑렉스는 딸레 가야 자고메바 레라부 전에 다준 얘기를 했었다. 내고네 다준 얘기 말해서 좀 숨바들라 랑소스는 나랑 그 스웨션 nangana jo torma tabu ku tabu ne nganja soe dwa thajur de dire tabu ngana lakpa ge so shayo mare lak process na mi jonang tabu ta mi tinsang mi zo tene subu lo shuge na nga jimbu yin sig da tinde gi jondang gi den thajur soe thajur di soe re san soe yo mare lak.
So when saying that these freedoms and riches don't come from one having some kind of a bravery or one's own powers, they don't come from just fortune or pure luck. Like if you're walking along this road, then for some kind of fortune or because of luck, you might find on the roadside a piece of gold. Yeah? But when it comes to the 18 freedoms and riches, they don't come about in this way. And they also don't come about through oneself making them. For instance, some things we can make a torma by our own hands, and then thereby we get a torma, but that's impossible when it comes to the 18 freedoms and riches. They also don't come about through making them by one's own hands. And rangso de chela
pochu jondang
yeah jendang sana
sana ngi khabar su thu gire nga jungi yes da
okay so skill
jondang se bora thakar
jangwa
quality la gora clever la gora like that.
So they also don't come about through our abilities or our skills and being smart. Just because we're so smart, we can somehow get the 18 freedoms and riches. That's also not the way they come about.
Ta tindla tene togu yo mares ngota karel ten sonam mango sakbala. Kyo mango chebala la gura sonam sende. Kyo mango chebala tene togu yo re la gota.
Yeah. So they don't come about through any of these four ways, but so then how do they come about? And so we said before, they come about through accumulating merits.
Yang gombollo du garasonto minye chetop kawe miwang tamjejebe tere chibar soyesa ane gyabo deje sangbola tene minyi tobade pe mesekal gawre gyalbo kyorong gyalbo liden tobade tene tambeche nyamslang wala tene tsungen tambeche nyamslang wala tene kiran tobare kiran de shebar chebu yore slabarta.
So as the Nagarjuna said to the king, he said, you have attained a human body and you have become a king, and all this is due to your previous practice of Dharma.
Tadi Tajur Tobegi tene karsugore ju tene disik dabore ta Tajur Tobegi ju pato ze pa gebasesona tene Tajur Tobegi ju 당부 출림 송고고요래 어라 낀 tene 교합해서 속바사 고고요래 tene 텔라 참줄 몰람 넘버 타바 멍버 잡고요래 대숨 제발라 때네 다 tene Tajur Tob고요다
Sutim sung
Gewan Drup, Malam Tap.
So we could say that the freedoms and advantages is a short form for saying what they come from. Yeah, they come from protecting or guarding one's discipline or ethical conduct. They come through accomplishing a lot of virtue, and they come from making wish prayers or aspiration prayers.
Talwato barchebala 출림송고 부여라 출림송나 tene talwato bu여res yani 출림송나 tene ngarang so migewa chigi marwa migewa machena tene nyesongna kig marwa ya dubja giri la kig marwa imagina tene talwato bugidoa 출림송 bu여res iba gewa bu여res jorwato bala gewa bu여res 다 다전니까 tene top bar 제백이 낀 몰람 잡고 부여res
Didn't sung give saktan melam taptili tiki parla jalwa yarale yarere
de talwa tobar chebal라 출림 송고서 다 jorwa tobar chebal라 tene gewa dugu gor다 바로 쳔바 투글라 소바 계획이 가이 나야다 두고고요 근데 jorwa to부여라 다 다저니가 냠도 약고체네 톱토버 체발라 tene 몰람 잡고요 몰람 생각에 맞았나 그냥 출림성 개와 룹 대바 예나양 된 제부민 두고 말해. 제부 야고민 두바 잡아라 몰람 잡고.
So then, in order to have the freedoms, then we need to, or the freedoms come about from having practiced ethical conduct and guarded one's discipline. The advantages, they come about through having accomplished virtue earlier. And then both of them come about through making aspiration prayers.
제인데 캐나바게 다저디 주 가war을 때는 더고 따용데 다주 출림당 개와드바당 몰람타바 망볼라 때는 더고여 그래도 스디 하고 고요레스.
So then if we ask them, what is the cause for the freedoms and advantages come about? So then we should know that they come about through guarding one's virtue, or guarding one's discipline, accomplishing virtue, and making aspiration prayers. So that's the cause for the 18 freedoms and riches.
상제기 처럼 탐제 줄리총 송도아 탐제 줄라 땡고르다 유질라마드나 드브케답 자살 대인데 가랑서 줄라양 삼로 땅고고요. 줄라 삼로 땅이 드네 주 버제 땅고고. 주 버제 땅나한테 제부터 부여.
So as the Buddha said, all phenomena, they come about through causes and conditions. So that's a fact that any cause we want to have arise, then we need to establish any result we want to come about. For that, we need to establish the cause of that result. And if we do that, then the result comes.
직딘지 가면 오보 강나 가인양 규제만 삼나 제부터 중국민도와.
So in this world, there is no phenomena whatsoever that does not come about through causes and conditions.
그냥 수수기 제부터 버려라 수수기 주례도와 벤나가랑라 꼰고게나 마게 라그라 마게 꼰라그라 꼰라다 현지 꼰고게나 꼰기 사벤 고기도와 꼰기 사벤 땀나 꼰기기로와 꼰기 사벤 땀니 제부지기 제지기 말와 저랑라 제 고기요나 꼰 땀나 제지기래 제 말와 따처럼 제부 꼰 고기요나 사벤데 꼰다 부도와 제부 제 고기요나 사벤데 제다 부도와 대단시 말아운도 수수수기 제부기 최 제부들라 유래래요래 대주 가리임바도 베접당 거마도 저런 게 유디 베접마당와야 다저터베요 받을 느껴져요 말.
So not only does things come about through causes and conditions, they come about through specific causes and conditions. So it's not, for instance, if we plant, or if we want corn, then we need to plant a corn seed. If we plant a corn seed, from that we will get corn, we will not get rice. If we want rice, we need to plant a rice seed. So each of the phenomena in this world, they have their cause and their own specific cause. And this is what we've described, the causes for the 18 freedoms and advantages.
다 아니 대인데 다 디 규디 아니 규이고는 예버카와레스 다 다지 쉬방에 당가나서 단다디 규디 가림방나서 하고서 술짐 개와 몰람 하고서 다 딩가나서 삼로 땅에 뒤세시를 레버다 당가나서 규이고는 간에서는 예버카와레스 당가나서 삼로 땅 거다 다 삼로 땅인데 계란기 되네 가서고래 다줄 밀리 토바 제발라 당고 술짐 숨고래 라브라 다 계란기 다 술짐 숨기 왜 저거 다 계란기 술임 가리순 거예요. 배나 미개와 주방계인 삼배 술임 가져순 거예요. 치소다르게 돈바순 거예요. 나 자주 선별라바 순 거예요. 상화 인생하게 담직 순 거예요. 테마 송나한테 다주로 간에서 더 보다. 민도아. 별로 덥도 민도아. 술임 송나. 딱 술임 송에 대 꼬물어도 와. 민도에 미개와 주 책임이 삼는 견나면 돈발랑 예외. 랑에 연말에 죄송 딱 달로 틀에 깔래 가고 차 사러 되라.
So that was the fourth of the five subdivisions, and the cause. So the cause being guarding one's ethical discipline, accomplishing virtue, and making aspiration prayers. So then regarding this, we should also take some time to consider this and think about it. we should think, do I guard my discipline? Do I really do that? And do I have I given up the 10 non-virtuous actions? And regarding the vows, do I maintain the Pratimoksha vows of individual liberation? Do I? And regarding the Bodhisattva vows, do I maintain my Bodhisattva vow? Or do I uphold the Vajrayana Samayas? And if we want to be liberated, then we need to do this. Yeah? So if we don't uphold these vows, we're not guarding our discipline. And if we don't do that, then we will not get the 18 freedoms and advantages. What did I tell me?
가르쳐 보래요. 술좀 나랑 따뜻 쳐봐라. 술 미겨가지고 죽으면 미겨가지고 빵기 300 만절에 삼로 매러. 술좀 마성로다. 미겨가지고 빵을 술좀 생인데 다 팀나 내 내가데 지금에서 담자지 쳐보라. 근데 지금 말아 가서 재매봐. 디마전나된 더러토에 매다 더러토에 깔리 가보러다. 저런 게데 내기 캔 넘버를 지나치 술좀 가져 송에 지나치 넘버 라베도 요에 깔리 가보러다.
So yeah, so when we investigate, then we actually do find that we're not really keeping this discipline so well. We're not maintaining our vows, bodhisattva vows, shravaka vows, and so forth. It's not so easy to do, and then we will not get the freedoms and riches.
대인데 규경 강내장 시에 팔 깨만다기 규경 강내장라기도 유기권에 떼나양 달로탑에 깔 가버려도 라브다. 그래도 출림 성공면도 안 저기 출림 마속나 근데 달로탑에 규다 달조탑에 규디요 말이다. 규 강리 삼도다네 근데 출림 왕부 마송도 달로탑에 깔 가보 차서 규경 강내장 다주르 되는 시도니 발까.
So then if we return to the text of the liturgy in the Ngondro, it says here, alas, they were so hard won, these freedoms and riches obtained through accumulating their causes and conditions. So here it says very clearly that they were obtained through accumulating their causes and conditions, meaning the cause, as we are speaking about now, the cause is the guarding one's ethical discipline. So that is the cause. So there's a lot of power in these two lines here that we recite.
미개와 주방의 출림송에 대해서 공부를 내가 대답을 주거방의 송거양 깔래 가고 싫어요. 송야라. 근데 이제 가서 주거송만 돈나야 가서 다나 나와직 소직이면 삼바라고. 하나 로직 소직이면 삼바라고 제대로 내지는 수준이래니 이나야 송고. 당가라도 다주를 다 달와니야라. 다주게 유디니 차야라. 내 진짜 싸워는 망고 싸네 아니 나는 좋다. 다들 빌리 타고 열어. 정말 주디 송도면도 와. 갈래 가보도 와. 교육을 내버 거래도 안.
So when we look at this difficulty to get the freedoms and advantages through the difficulties related to the cause, then we can see that, yeah, we see that it's very rare that people, or ourselves for that matter, avoid all of the 10 non-virtuous actions. And if we want to have the freedoms and advantages, then we need to keep each of these one by one of the 10, like not do the non-virtuous actions.
저와 토바라 체발라 테니 겨 먹고 싸고 그래. 테니 계란 기타 제다 계란 겨와 가지고 두고. 그래? 이만한 추진이 시작시를 저래 겨와 가지고 두고.
So then looking at the difficulty, so the first was guarding one's discipline to attain the freedoms. Now regarding the cause for the advantages, that is the accumulation of virtue. And then how much do we really accumulate virtue? There's 24 hours in a day. So out of those 24 hours, how much virtue are you accumulating?
개화주님을 가져둘게요. 시소들에게 냠는 지기요베. 난 전주선배에게 냠는 지기요베. Someone is going to Yamlin Chigi, Kazi Chigi. Season Denzola Samlotana, the Mesaba. Jorota Pepe Mesical Cover, Kian Kang Yang, Saint the Audrey, Kian Kang Yang, Jorota Bacavares, that the Jujian Kang Yang, Sido.
So then how, like regarding the outer vows of Pratimoksha, or the inner vows of the Bodhisattva, or the secret vows of the Vajrayana, and how well are we guarding these? And if we're not, then how can we get the advantages? It is because this is what they come through him. They come from guarding our vows. This is yeah. So the conditions here of the maintaining one's vows. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So it's very rare that we actually do engage in the practices of the Shravaka or the Bodhisattva or the Vajrayana. And if this is very rare, then we should understand that. We should check also how much out of these 24 hours we have in a day do we engage in virtue.
Tama Jebu Tazunya Bati, Kalikaboresta, Delayang, Jude Shazugda, the Jusha, the Tebu Shazugda, Tazur sing the Tebu Shazug.
So if we look at the verse here, which the English translation is the reverse from the Tibetan, but it says these were so hard won, these freedoms and riches. So the freedoms and riches, they are the result. And they were obtained through accumulating their causes and conditions. And the causes and conditions, then that's the cause. Yeah? So that's how to understand these verses. In the Tibetan, the causes and conditions are in the first line, and then the result of the freedoms and riches is the result of that in the second line.
Mi chirdangi kyumaki kone ta mi chikde bato kyume kone ta choba cho yenayang teni nga chu shibuji chigiyo samgiyo res samnayang aranzo samna yakbo tanda chu de kajibardo chigurdo manzo meze dela lo gya dabuji degiyo na lo gya di zi yongdu ninsen ni zigiyo ra ninsen ni la nima jik zigiyo ra ninsen ni la nima jik zi yongdu teni chen la koni kugudo 생각고 최지금도 추즈니 삽시나니 추즈 중이 권이 고그래 추즈 중이 권이 세로와 추즈 중이도 권이 고고 용데 로야 되게는 롱압진이 혹사로 거기
어떻게 추즈에 당도
메지 니 고그라 아나 쳐봐줘요 내가 최시고 지게라 추즈니 삽시라 추즈 중이 권이 고그라 첸니 고그라미 추즈니 추즈 중이 춘이라 아 추즈 중이는 권이 고그라야 다 추즈 중이는 인공으로 하다 다 추즈 중에 대한 로낭라 지구구라 로낭라 제나 미디기 롱압진이 후구르다
So if we look at the person, well, look at a worldly person, they don't engage in a lot of accumulation of virtue. But even if we look at those of us who call ourselves Dharma practitioners, let's say we live for 100 years, and in that case, since we're sleeping 12 hours a day, that's half of the time. So we will sleep for 50 years out of the 100 years that we live.
다태양 첸라 냐르 지금 말다 간주 니라야 냐르기요 nga zunshio mara nila nga nyalgira kenzo nyalgi yujire adi nila nyalbegi lose chamna longa chuda denala zodu urda milo tukchu der zodu urda.
So not only do we sleep in the night, but we also take naps in the daytime, so and take a rest in the day. So then if we count that also, then we probably amounts to 60 years of sleep.
tene lo chu changa nishi barduda chenpo chago gu yore, rigba shar gu yore, chongja gu yore, nangmita gu yore, tende cheyangde ta meze jigla lo kazu che chegdo tadan samlo chi tangda.
So
lo chu changa la chenpo chago gu yore, rigba shar gu rigba ke gu yore, chongja gu yore, nangmita gu yore, tene lo chu changa derang zoksaro da.
So then if we look at the first 15 years of life, then we grow up, we learn about the world, we get our skills, we look after elderly people and so forth. So that's 15 years spent on that and not engage in Dharma practice.
당한줄로 최저에게 고급디 로추가 유메르바 로추 정아 더버지 유메 더버지 레도하다 지잡나 로자 더버지 지잡 아 로추 더버지 하려면 유메 레도하 지잡나.
So then if we take this into account and we deduct all the time we've spent on worldly affairs and growing up and doing business work and taking care of people and sleeping, then maybe 10 years out of the 100 remains for Dharma practice.
당한줄 미세딘데 소로다 테네 미 미세디 로기세 로디 다와기세 다와디 샤포기세 샤포디 추제기세 추제디 까차기세 소로다.
So this is how this life is wasted or exhausted. So a year is spent month by month, a month is spent day by day, a day is spent hour by hour, an hour goes by minute, and a minute goes by second by second.
다 단단 안 하는 지딩이 로야기 지잡라 당 하는 줄 알람 로추제 다 취체 고바 요메레 다 된저 취체겐 소라다 된대지 고고마 된 말. 당 안저 더블리를 다지 근다 로섬 다숨 참된 세고라 칸이 시주디 로섬 다숨 참된 세기 인생에 취체인 더부지 고도와 로섬 다숨 삼들 할레버 로섬 다숨 코 냐게 요 말에 로섬 다숨 코 칼라사데게 요 말에 로섬 다숨 코 레스 치게 요 말에 근데 진짜 로섬 다숨 코 취어 같이 제어다 로직 제어 매게지 잡고.
So even if we do retreat, let's say we do a 3-year retreat, and it sounds amazing, right? But then in these 3 years we sleep, don't we? We eat, and also we take rest. Yeah. So how much does this retreat actually amount to? Maybe a year or so.
판나는 내가 뭐 그래 둘로 주고 요래 마소자고 요래 계좌 세고 요래 아디 뒤져상 대적으로 칠을렘나 로섬 다숨 대인스 최 로섬 다숨 제인스 칸이 들리시고.
So then there's a lot of work to do even when you're on retreat. Yeah, you wash your clothes, you take a rest, you talk to people, and then yeah, that's how the retreat then is completed. And then afterwards I stayed in retreat for 3 years and 3 months.
야, 딱그 교화된 년년지만 사요 말이야. 출림된 년년지마다 사요 말이야. 딱 답저 터비를 깔래 가고 차서.
So during this period, then we didn't really accumulate so much virtue, and we didn't really guard our discipline so well. So then through that, it will be very, very difficult to obtain the freedoms and advantages.
대인디 규라 때네 되는 이녀버 가와이 맞다. 당하는 시고도와. 되는 교육권에 이녀버 가와 랍교디 좀센도와.
So that's why it makes great sense here to understand the difficulty through the cause. Yeah? It's very difficult to get the freedoms and advantages because the cause is so difficult.
This niba sumbadra shivati pegone neberkawa sumrta ta pela tene tene tajun nebakawa ymashi shegiyore tene the karisore sanjeji tene jamso rubal singsumla shane peshe.
So then the fourth of this subdivision of 5 difficulties is then the difficulty shown through example. So it's difficulty to attain the freedoms and advantages by this example of where we have the ocean, and then in the ocean there's a turtle swimming in.
Keranzuki Parto, Tongi, Pesona, Sanje Dinde, Chene, Jamsojigan, Sanje Dinde, Chene, Rubel de Machine Nala, Shingi Muguna, Kujetinde, Tongumindre, all the Tazuringo, a bit temper.
So you might have seen a picture with a Buddha and then a turtle in an ocean having a wooden yoke around their neck. So that is an example showing the difficulty of attaining the freedoms and advantages.
다디 간데레스나 겸조지요레스 겸조체부지요레스 다 겸조디마 띵들라 테네 루발지요레스 테네 루발디한테는 믹롱와 믹메 통고요 말 믹롱와레라 다 겸조체부디게 칼라테니 싱레블지요레스 싱레레디게 길다다 무군지요레스 무군 다 베자나나 냐싱시라 냐싱 냐스나데 징바라 싱스나 데강라 데야디 냐싱시 다 단대값수 냐싱디 지단기 루발기 냐라 콩고고요라 디치는 냐싱라 버 지단기 냐싱스양 전주기 강라 고연들라 냐싱라 그래 얘네 단대값수 냐싱기 미공도 고르고르라고 치다 루발기 냐 징바 숑던 다 냐싱디 초기 칼라 데니 데데게레버스나 데데게요 말에서 롱갑네 고예라도 윤라도 샤라도 롤라도 데네 치고레스 다 루발디 로갸레 라틴 차르직이야 둥고요레스 로갸레 라 차르직 된데 테네 루발기 디미공나라 추나 테네 다저톱그레라고 다 텐데기 루발 야 냐싱 초레라 루발라 미기요마레 냐싱게 루발 초레라 냐싱라 세미요마레 텐데 투에 깔라가버러다 코 로갸라 차르직마도 정마레 데니 디 무공나라 냐싱 징바 냐냐강라 초에다 파셔 투게라 깔라가버러와 대나시 다줄 깔라가버레 냐라 깔라가버레 송 상제지 성절 특별.
So there is this example of that the Buddha gave of there's a vast ocean, and at the bottom of this vast ocean is a turtle, and this turtle also doesn't have any eyesight yet. It's a blind turtle, and on the surface of the ocean there's a yoke, like a wooden board with a hole in it. Or sometimes you could speak of a yoke as a wooden board with a hole in the middle, or here maybe it's just a ring. Anyway, it has a hole in it, and it flows around on the surface of the ocean. And it doesn't just rest there; it just moves back and forth, all depending on the wind and the waves, moving it back and forth. And then the turtle, then at the bottom of the ocean, will once in 100 years it will surface, and then as it rises to the surface of the ocean, if it manages to put its head, or rather if its head enters through into the hole of this yoke, that's how rare it is. The chance for this is how rare it is to attain the freedoms and riches, or freedoms and advantages. And the turtle doesn't have the idea that it's going to enter its head into the hole, and also the yoke doesn't have the idea that I'm going to be on the turtle. So there's also not that connection. So we have this huge ocean. At the bottom is a blind turtle, and for that turtle then to enter its head through the yoke, trying once in 100 years, that's just shows how difficult it is to obtain the freedoms and advantages.
나바데 장기권이 예버가와서 장세를 때는 예버가와서 그렇다. 그러면지 가르송도 장세지고 샘진 장기권이 예버가와데 밀리 장기권이 예가와 까메가 샘진 장라도 송래 밀리 림보체데 아니 예버가와 레도 마르도 따용나 근데 샘진지 장라다당 던저 샘진지 장라다다 하고 그래라 그래. 빼나가랑서 테니 다 가랑서 미기 줄라 통해야지 던저와 던저 샘진지 미기 줄라 통걸 던저 샘진을 단다 부총마서 망부지도 부총마 전정도 부총마 망부지기 강박 강지기 부지기 테니 잠불링이 미요 말해. 민도아 부총마 망부지기도 부총마지기 미 부총마지기 체 밀라요 말해. 부총마하고라 텐데기 체지 밀라요 말해. 다들이 냐단 둘단 근데 상마지 않는다 미답 용용 찾았다 된도가 나나
So then the fifth way of showing the difficulty is to show the difficulty by way of numbers. And then Guru Rinpoche, he gave the, or compared, then he said, compare the lives of humans to the number of lives of animals. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So just take, for instance, the number of ants in one house. Then even in the number of ants you can find in one house is more than the number of human beings you can find in the world. So the number of animals is way bigger than the number of human beings. So having an animal or an ant life, that is not having a human life.
tseme karma ta nime karma to peshaer nyawe semjen denzo tene tsenji karma nashin sor iza karma de nin karma ida de ninji karma nashin sor ida tsenji karma la tundo ninji karma nashin sor tundo tsenji karma la tene lamen denzo lamen denzo tene ninji karma nashires lamen denzo ninji karma la tene midi tsenji karma la tene midi nime karma nashin serta nimala nima ningung karma thoya merada ta pemasem nyunyung thoya yelo mela tene rese.
Another way of showing it with numbers is to speak about, if we look at the stars, the number of stars at night, that is how, and we could say that is the number of beings in hell. And compared to that, the number of and the pretas, the hungry ghosts, there's much fewer. They're just as many as there are stars in daytime. So, and then looking at, if we compare the number of pretas with the number of stars in the nighttime, we say that's the number of pretas. Then compared to that, the number of animals is the number of stars in daytime. Then again, if we say that the number of animals is the number of stars in the nighttime, and compare that to the number of gods and demigods, then the number of demigods is as many as the stars in daytime. And if this number of demigods are as many as the stars in nighttime, and we compare that, then the lives of humans is just as many as the number of stars in daytime. So comparing this and counting the numbers, then we see that the human beings in comparison with all the other beings is very few.
Manzo midang nimo dang tsemo la de koso nimo la karma thoya mara midang tendo durna dure khora yamarda dure saja khoro nyeng mara tendo tromaji tsedi mila yamare da tendo sangmatsi yamda mi kandisin si jagor japsing mara tromaji tse mila yamara da troma maimba bukajerda 보다 냐당 발장 전조를 다 세이 제때 디상만 제자는다 미다 간데 차르다 청정 영영 시외 차르라.
So even between humans and animals, if we just try to compare them, there's not even any comparison. The number of ant lives, not only the ant lives, but there are other insects like flies and snakes, whatever. Yeah, there's so many, countless, and compare them to the number of human lives, there's very few.
Tendu changi gon deang yebar kawares ta dinalanga di junna tajur din 신도 yebar ka shebe 책들라 subject number ngagi ngore 되는 게 되어 시스템 is ta 책 심바데 아니 제라 되어 자기nis 다른 게 뒤져 디양 텔라심도 아니 참명어 말람 냠도 소나스.
So that was the showing the difficulty of attaining the freedoms and advantages by numbers. Yeah? So that completes the showing the difficulties which had the subdivision of 5. So it was the difficulty by the essence and the difficulty through speciality, perhaps, and then the difficulty to the cause and the difficulty through the example, and then difficulty by means of numbers, as was this fifth and final one. And then please dedicate Mary.
Sonam de tamje zikpa ni tomne nyebe ranam pamje ne kenga nache balam chokpa sibe sole rowa sho.